Next, we meet our hero, the titular character, Eragon. Wow, Eragon, isn't that subtle? Like dragon, but with an E instead of a D. Could this be a meaningful name, perhaps? He's 15, just like the author, has dark eyebrows resting over intense brown eyes. What is it with the author and eyebrows? And, well, that's it. He doesn't really have a proper description. Everything else, right down to the clothes he's wearing, is described in detail, but he himself isn't. He's out hunting deer to stock up on food in preparation for winter, and is in the process of tracking his prey when he's scared off by a sudden explosion, the aftermath of which resembles a scaled-down version of the Tunguska event. In the middle of the blast radius is a giant polished blue gem from the prologue. Our hero is unperturbed, and rather than doing a sensible thing and running the hell away as fast as he can, simply waits a few minutes before going over to pick it up despite the obvious danger. Luckily for him, but not for the reader, it turns out to be harmless, and he decides to take it back with him to the village in hope of using it to buy food. He camps out until morning, when the sun rises with, I'm not kidding, a glorious conflagration of pink and yellow. Gee, lay off the thesaurus a bit, why don't you? Before heading back home. We learn that Omlaut Geisha is ruled by an evil empire. Well, I say it's an evil empire because that's what we're supposed to think, but no explanation is given as to why. Okay, it does say later on that their taxes are high, but so are Sweden's, and that has one of the highest standards of living in the world, so there's nothing really to suggest the empire is as evil as Paolini makes it out to be. To make matters more confusing, the head of the empire is called King Galbatorix. No, not Emperor. King. Yeah, I didn't get it either. Also, it turns out the mountains he's been exploring are so dangerous that not even the Emperor, King, has been able to conquer them, and yet he's been hiking in them for years, on his own mind you, and despite being an adolescent boy, without getting into trouble, just to show that he's special. Like hands would you figured that out. A couple days later he arrives at Palancar Valley, named, I'd imagine, after the artist responsible for that train wreck of a cover, and the village of Carvajal. He goes to the butcher's, despite there being no good reason why a self-sustaining town should have a butcher's, and tries to trade the stone for some meat. The butcher, Sloane, is a grumpy old man who has a grudge against the mountains because his wife died there, and won't accept the stone because it came from the mountains, until the local blacksmith enters and buys some meat which he gives to Eragon, blah 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 blah. Boring! Let's just skip ahead to Eragon arriving back home at a farm just outside the village where he lives with his uncle, Garrow, and his cousin, Roron, because, believe it or not, he's an orphan. Wow, I can just tell those creative juices of yours were in full flow when you wrote this, weren't they, Mr. Paolini? Garrow, bizarrely described as looking like he'd been partly mummified before it was discovered he was still alive, gets pissed off at Eragon for accepting charity for some reason. I don't know why. I guess Paolini didn't bother giving him a personality because he's going to get killed off soon anyway. Like your hands already figured that out. Then again, Paolini treats all his characters, even the main ones, as tools, there to be used and then thrown away. Hell, he himself once said that characters are born out of necessity, and if the author himself doesn't care about his characters, why should we? Afterwards, Eragon goes to bed, and when he wakes up, we're treated to an unnecessary description of some random bits and pieces he's collected. This pointless paragraph could be excused as a way of fleshing out the hero's personality, by telling us that he has a hobby of collecting random bits and pieces, I guess. But since the hero doesn't have a personality, and neither the hobby nor the random bits and pieces are mentioned again, it's just a waste of space. Oh, and one of these trinkets is a root, which is described as convoluted. Yeah, that word, I don't think it means what you think it means. Also, we learn that not only is Eragon an orphan, but his mother mysteriously disappeared after giving birth to him, and no one knows who the father was, because simply being an orphan wasn't quite cliched enough. And there's some asinine drama involving Eragon's cousin, Roron, who's been secretly dating the butcher's daughter, who has an oh-so-exotic fantasy name of Katrina, and doesn't want Sloane to find out, but to be honest it's so dull it's not even worth making fun of, so I'll ignore it and skip ahead to when some traders arrive in Carvajal during the winter, and Eragon goes into town to visit them with his family. Eragon shows the stone to one of the traders, who can't identify it, but on investigating learn that it's made of a strange material that's harder than diamonds, is completely hollow, and must have been made with magic. Now normally this would be a great way of building tension and adding to the sense of mystery surrounding the stone, but since you already know from reading the fucking blurb that it's a dragon egg, there is no sense of mystery. It's like if the DVD release of Planet of the Apes had a still from the NC on the front cover, which it does, come to think of it. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. While admittedly it is pretty hard to summarise the plot without mentioning that it's a dragon egg, The fact that it's such a basic element makes trying to turn it into a surprise twist even more redundant. Over the course of this chapter, we learn of the existence of a band of terrorists, freedom fighters, called the Varden, which opposes the evil empire. Now, is it just me, or does this all seem rather familiar? I mean, first we have a princess in possession of a mysterious MacGuffin who is attacked by soldiers of an evil empire wanting the MacGuffin, who capture her but fail to secure what they were looking for. Then we have a teenage orphan living on a farm with his uncle in the backwaters of said evil empire, finding said MacGuffin, and now a rebel group that seeks to overthrow said evil empire. I have a feeling I've seen this all before. Nah, must just be my imagination. Finally, we're introduced to Brom, the local storyteller and resident Mr. Exposition with a mysterious past that is somehow connected to the terrorists, freedom fighters, who will later go on to become textbook wise old men to 68 billion and join our hero's quest, during which he will continue to dispense wisdom and training before eventually getting done in by the bad guys about halfway through, like Johan's already figured that out. For the time being, all he does is provide some background information. But I've gone on long enough, and I'm getting tired, and I'm sure you are too, so I'll leave it at that. Expect to see me lampoon it next week, or the week after next week, or the week after the week after next week, or probably the week after the week after the week after next week, if not the week after the week after the week after the week after next week, because I'm a lazy bugger who can't keep an appointment to save his life. Until then, thanks for watching, and goodbye!
Plagiarize! Let no one else's work evade your eyes! Remember why the good Lord made your eyes, so don't shade your eyes, but plagiarize, plagiarize, plagiarize! Only be sure always to call it, please, research. And ever since I meet this man, my life is not the same. And Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky is his name. Hi, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky.